Welcome to Cosmos with Bailey. I'm Bailey and I'm a clairvoyant psychic medium and spiritual healer based in New Zealand. Welcome! So today's video is going to be on masculine men and deep sensitivity, the artists and the lovers of the cosmos. So I'm going to talk a little bit about masculinity, old world masculinity, and a higher manifestation of masculinity that's becoming available to us. So I'd highly recommend, if you're watching this video, if you want to see what's going on with masculinity in our cosmos and you're resonating with what I'm saying, because my videos aren't for everyone and I'm very aware of that, and you may want to go and watch my For the Men playlist that has all the playlists for men, and there is a video, The Awakening of the Divine Masculine in Our Cosmos, and so I'll link that one as well. But essentially what I'm going to talk about is, okay, so first and foremost, the more masculine a man is, the more sensitive he is. And it's sort of like we have been, I always wanted to say brainwashed a little bit into what masculinity is, and it is this sort of very surface physical thing. And we have not known men, and I think men feel very enslaved in that old world patriarchal masculinity, because what happened was a lot of men and their egos sort of ruled the roost, and it is men who are a bit more dominant, but it is a slightly spiritually immature masculinity that is now collapsing out, and these souls need to go and have their awakening now. And in the old world patriarchal consciousness cycle, which is from the fall of Atlantis until now, we all experienced ourselves in perpetrator victim consciousness, and it was routinely people who were coming from that unloving masculine energy, including women, that really got away with a lot. I think that's the only way I can put it. And so now we are having things sort of balance out a lot. There's a lot of connections finishing off and whatnot, and awareness is happening as men start to awaken. And we've sort of forgotten, I think, in this modern day world, a little that men are so much more than that very physical, provider role that we've known, and the self-sacrificial masculine that we've known. And it's a very, very limited, I want to say, template of masculinity. And I think we're in a very, you might want to go and read my post on Instagram, Men, Sensuality and Money Wounding, and how we're sort of in between. We're not our fathers, but we don't fit into our father's energy. We don't want to play out our father's energy. It's a little bit confusing. And we're sort of being divorced from knowing the masculine, being more freer in expressing that deep sensitivity. And quite routinely, men will feel things very, very deeply, but they also have a sort of like a defense mechanism around them. And what I've seen with men is the more masculine they are, the more sensitive they are. And it is because we're so used to seeing men in the physical sense. And I'd say if you look masculine, or you do very, I don't like putting, I do masculine things, but you know what I mean. Men have a different charge to women, essentially. And what we tend to do when we look at men is we tend to look at them and just immediately put them into that really limited perception of masculinity. Oh, he can pay my bills, he can do this, he can do that. And we tend to forget that men really want a deep heart connection with the feminine. And it is something that is like the secret in masculinity, and that they just want to connect with you emotionally and spiritually, and there's this massive defense mechanism around men, because once men open up their sensitivity to a woman, that's it for them in many, many ways. And it is once they make that commitment, or once they make that connection to the feminine via the heart and the spirit, they open up. That the way that men connect with women is very end all be all. And so, especially if you're deeply sensitive, because those emotions are so vast and very sensitive, and we tend to just gloss over this part of masculinity. And there's men that are more mature that have that deep sensitivity, and then there's men that are spiritually very immature, and they're very disconnected from that part of themselves, and they are the men that sort of try and dominate and control females or whatnot, and they're very disconnected from their hearts and emotions. There's a lot of, I was just about to say slavery, like that slavery consciousness, do as I say, and that's very dissociated and disconnected from true loving masculinity that is within a bit more mature man, bit more mature man. And yes, and so we need to sort of start moving, and it is the feminine that brings out that deep sensitivity in a man, and it makes him feel, what I've seen with the deep sensitivity, when a man feels super safe in expressing that with a woman, it actually brings out almost like a higher octave of his masculinity that's naturally within him, and he feels he can express it. And this is where you get when there's true love involved, or a deep soul connection, a man with that, it's almost like something gets triggered in him and he just wants to take care of her, but it comes from the heart. It's not this manipulative, I'm going to be with him for money and he'll make me look good type of thing, which is very disconnected from the heart and the spirit of true masculinity and true femininity. And as I said, it's that very physical versus surface versus the more inner realms of knowing and expressing masculinity. And men have to be very, very careful with women and who they're giving themselves to. And I've just been dreaming a lot about what's been going on for men. I think there's a lot of initiations of women coming up, and a lot of divorces and endings of connections that can't continue because they're not based in the heart and in the spirit of the masculine. And I think for a lot of men right now, they're feeling a disconnection maybe to the feminine energy around them, and they don't know what's going on. But what I've seen, men have to be careful, because just of the way that the masculine essence and the energy works is that if you go and if you have sex, casual repetitive sex with someone, there'll be something that'll get triggered in you depending on how mature your masculinity is. And on the subconscious level, you'll just think, I need to take care of this woman. I need to take care of this one, because on the spirit level, and you may not be aware of this consciously, on the spirit level, when a man is invited into the feminine realms via an intimate and sexual connection, he is making a very intimate connection with that feminine energy. And depending on his masculine essence, how attuned, because there's different realms, because men are at different stages of evolution, their masculine essence, and there are men on this earth that are a lot more mature. I'm probably speaking to them, but what happens with these men is that they may know on some level this female is not good for them, but because they've gone and had a sexual connection with them, they can't get out of her aura, because you've sort of given yourself over to her energy and you've invited her into your aura. And she may not be respectful of your king essence. So usually when a man holds a more higher octave, more mature masculine, he's very deeply spiritually sensitive and aware, and he may not know that, or he may cover it up because it's something that only really comes out when he feels safe with the feminine. And I think sometimes instead also men go and have really surface connections because of that deep sensitivity, and they They may have gone and had heartbreaks in the past, or a woman said something really nasty to them and they really struggle to open up again and connect with the feminine because it is just too much. And sometimes what happens is men go into like the defend and protect, and they'll act overtly masculine to try and cover up how they're actually feeling. Yeah, and so when a man opens up to a woman sexually, you've created a connection there, and something will get triggered in your more mature king essence, and you'll just think, on some subconscious level, you'll feel it in the spirit. I need to take care of this woman, but you may not, and it is a very imbalanced connection if she's not respectful of your masculine energy, and that's deep sensitivity. And masculinity is essentially a higher octave of spiritual masculine essence, and when it's merged with really loving heart-led masculinity, you get more higher, more mature spiritual essence of the masculine. But that doesn't mean that we let go of the inherent masculine qualities that men enjoy expressing. You can be deeply sensitive and still love kickboxing, or the deep sensitivity makes a man more in tune almost with his body and his feelings and his emotions. But because we've sort of been divorced from, we don't understand that part of masculinity. I feel like a lot of modern day men have trouble sort of expressing that sensitivity and what it means, and moving out of that very limited perception of masculinity. So when it comes to deep sensitivity in men, they also can, when they are allowed to express that, this is when we get these divine artists and lovers through men in the cosmos. And when a man is allowed to express that deep sensitivity, he usually has a very, very deep connection to beauty and love, and admiring art or admiring the feminine, and he gets inspired by the feminine, he gets inspired by the art, he gets inspired by love, and he gets inspired by beautiful buildings or interior design, and he really admires it, and it makes his soul, because he has that deep sensitive connectivity, he can really admire those things, and he goes and supports them. But you've got to be careful with art and beauty, because there are different realms as to how that expresses, and you're really wanting to find people who are a bit more mature and are creating art and beauty from a place of the heart that really starts to have an effect on the earth. And it's not so much about like mass-produced art or doing art for money, which is not of the soul at all, and it doesn't have, when you look at art, you can really tell someone, it doesn't matter how it's been done or what it looks like, it may not look conventionally beautiful, but you can tell when you look at it, when you have that deep sensitivity into your spirit, if it's been made from truth and intention and of the heart, versus when something has not. I really love for myself very avant-garde abstract art, and there's some of my art in the background painted years and years ago, but I haven't done a lot, but I really want to get back into it again and do these massive canvases. But there's a very big difference between art from the heart and art that's being made for a purely physical thing like money. And it's a very different feeling, it's a very different expression, and it doesn't quite hit that sweet spot when you look at it. And when men have that deep sensitivity, they also have that intuition to decipher things on the psychic and energetic realms very quickly. But also men with that deep sensitivity also need to get boundaries and self-respect for their masculinity, and know that they're probably coming from a higher octave, and it is probably time for you to get some boundaries and self-respect and start surrounding yourself with people who understand that deep sensitivity and also can bring it out in you. You can go off and enjoy different facets with your sensitivity of the art and the interior design and the gardening and the architecture or whatever it is that you're feeling the call to do. And we sort of move out of this really limited perception on masculinity only being, I need to provide a house and money, or my self-worth comes from just for providing for a woman. Why that's a big part of it. And it has to be infused with love for it to be fulfilling for you, for a man. When a man finds that right woman that really enhances that deep sensitivity, loving a woman and caring for a woman deeply fulfills him from the soul. It's that king energy. And it makes him more masculine and more mature in his masculinity as well. And it's sort of like we don't really understand that part of masculinity, and I feel it's been very repressed in men. And that's no one's fault, because just of the way we've experienced family dynamics in our fathers, what you've been imprinted with your mother and your father energy, versus who you are actually as a soul. And it can feel very, very limited and confined and constrained in your body as a man when you don't connect to that deep sensitivity and acknowledge it and know that you're worthy of being treated with respect, kindness, and consideration. There's a lot of very indifferent people out there, and we know that are still trying to figure out more mature and more spiritually aligned masculine and feminine. And for this reason, I talk about boundaries, spiritual discernment, and common sense intuition all the time with energies that you're aligning with, especially if you're a little bit more deeply sensitive. And it is truly a gift to have these men on the earth and just start opening up that deep sensitivity. But it comes through knowing a woman who can open that up and bring it out of you. And it is a very fulfilling, because with that deep sensitivity, you get to really know art and beauty of the cosmos, and you can sense it and create it and support it. Men love to support in that higher octave of masculinity, love art and beauty because they love the feminine. And when you're more mature in your feminine, in your masculine essence, you really deeply love the healthy feminine, and she brings you joy, and she opens you up to higher octaves of masculinity, of art and beauty, and you enjoy life with the feminine as opposed to this really constrained, outdated, limited perception on masculine and feminine. Okay, anything else? And it is sort of what we need to evolve into now, and it is a little bit of a rarity, but I feel like there's a lot of men on the earth that are very, very deeply sensitive and very attuned, but it's just sort of buried a little bit, and we probably need to become a bit more mindful as women as well that men do have feelings and emotions. And like I said, the more masculine the man is, the more deeply sensitive he's going to be. And when women are really healthy in their femininity, you're after that deep sensitivity in a man, because he has essence and he has depth and he has integrity and he has his likes and his dislikes and he knows himself. Right? It's sort of like maturing the masculine into something more spiritually substantial in the earthly realm. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and I hope that was helpful.